If you look at the headlines about San Diego housing market right now, it looks simple. Prices are stable, inventory is low. It's still technically a seller's market. But when you actually dig deep into the March 2026 data, the reality is far more complicated because San Diego right now is not one housing market. It's several completely different markets all happening at the same time, sometimes just a few miles apart. I'm Steven Rotzart, and today I'm breaking down what the latest MLS numbers are actually showing here in East San Diego County in communities like Mesa, El Cajon, Santee, Spring Valley, Lemon Grove, and Jamul. What it means if you're thinking about buying or selling, and what questions you should actually be asking right now. Let's start with the countywide numbers. The median home price across San Diego County in March 2026 is $915,000. That's up 1% from last year, essentially flat. Inventory for detached home sits about 2 months. That's down 23% year over year. For context, balanced market normally has 4 to 6 months worth of supply. So on paper, this still looks like a classic seller's market. But here is where it starts to get interesting. Closed sales for detached homes are up 5% countywide in March, but new listings are down 14%. So the pool of available homes keeps shrinking, and the homes that are priced and positioned correctly, they are moving. The homes that aren't, they're sitting on the market. And that split is defining the theme right now in this market. This is where things get really important. The county averages do not tell the full story of what's going on. Real estate is hyper-local. You don't buy a county average. You buy one home on one street in one neighborhood. Let me give you a few examples, especially from the March data. In La Mesa and Mount Helix, zip code 91941. The year-to-date median for a detached home is up 23%. Pending sales in March jumped 60% compared to last year. That market is active. Move over to Lemon Grove, zip code 91945, and detached homes are selling in an average of 11 days. The year-to-date median is holding steady, and sellers there are getting over 100% of their list price. Then look at El Cajon, zip code 92019. Detached median up 28% year over year, approaching $1,075,000. El Cajon has become what I call a spillover market. When buyers get priced out of La Mesa, they move east, looking for space and relative value. That shift drives prices up in surrounding areas. But move over just a little further out to Jamul, zip code 91935, and the picture changes. Days on market dropped to 35 in March from 85 last year, but the median is up 16%. And that's based on 9 closed sales. Small, super small sample size to make percentages look absolutely extreme. Always check the transaction volume behind the numbers that you're really looking at. Now here's where the story changes. Not every neighborhood is moving fast. In Lakeside, zip code 92040, the detached median price dropped 15% in March. That's down to $740,000. New listings also fell 57%. Closed sales dropped 54%. That market is contracting. In the Rancho San Diego area, zip code 91978, days on market jumped from 6 days last year to now 47 days this March. And in Spring Valley, 91977, days on market went from 17 to 60 days on market. Once a house sits for 30 to 45 days, psychology starts to change. Buyers start asking, what's wrong with this property? That shift alone dramatically changes negotiations. Sellers lose leverage, buyers gain it. There's one more factor shaping all of these numbers that most people are not even talking about: insurance. A significant portion of San Diego County properties face elevated wildfire risk. In rural and brushy heavy areas, Lakeside, parts of Jamul, Spring Valley, traditional insurers are pulling out of that market. That pushes homeowners into the California FAIR plan, which is way more expensive and often requires additional coverage on top. Here's how that plays out for the typical buyer. Let's say that they're budgeting $4,000 a month. In a low-risk fire area, insurance might only be $100 a month. In a high-risk fire zone, it could be $400 to $500. That difference directly reduces how much of a home a buyer can buy, which creates a downward pressure on prices in those specific areas. That's not speculation. It's actually showing up in the data right now. If you're selling a home in East County right now, the most important thing to understand is this: the days of one uniform strategy across the entire county, those are over. If your home home is in an area like La Mesa or Lemon Grove where demand is strong, you may still see multiple offers and some fast movement. But if you're in an area where homes are sitting a little bit longer or where insurance costs are affecting buyers' purchasing power, your pricing needs to reflect that reality from day one. Because once a property sits for 30 to 45 days, it becomes a different conversation. Price it right, position it correctly from the beginning. For buyers, takeaway is going to be slightly different. There are still neighborhoods in East County where competition is so intense that you actually have to move fast still. But there are also areas right now where homes have been sitting and buyers have actual real leverage. A home that's been on the market for 55 days is a little bit of a different negotiation than one that just got listed yesterday. Understanding where you're shopping matters just as much as what you're shopping for. And knowing which zip codes have the insurance exposure can save you from monthly payment that you didn't plan for. So if we zoom out, the San Diego housing market in March 2026, it's not one story. On the surface, prices are holding. Inventory, it is tight. But underneath this market, it's splitting into micro markets. They're driven by location, demand, and increasingly by insurance and environmental risks. Those factors, they're completely reshaping where people want to live and actually where they can afford to live. So if you want to understand what's happening specifically in your zip code or the zip code that you're targeting, let's talk. I pull this data each and every month for the communities I work here in East San Diego County. The link to book a call is in the description below. No pressure, just conversation. Make sure to like and subscribe for monthly market updates just by tapping that little bell icon, and I'll see you on the next one.